Hey guys, it's Danielle. Welcome back to a sit down homeschool curriculum review. We are back. Can I get a sound of applause? Yes. Welcome back, you guys. So let me first start by apologizing for my little shadow here and this lighting, you guys. I am in South Carolina and this apartment's lighting is terrible, which is why I have been postponing this video and have not recorded this video, because I thought I was going to eventually go home and be able to do it, but I am still stuck here. And so it's dark outside, so I have no natural light, and I am just trying to make do with what we got. So there's that. But anyway, you guys, today I am going to be doing a review over Writeshop 1 for high schoolers. This particular curriculum is geared toward grades 6th through 10th, according to the Writeshop website. I used this particular curriculum last year for my sophomore. Spoiler alert, we are going to be using Writeshop 2 for her junior year. So we really did enjoy this curriculum and the layout and how it went. So if you're interested in homeschooling and Writeshop and English curriculums, then stick around for the video. Before we jump in, if you are new here, hello, welcome. My name is Danielle and I am the non-traditional mommy. And on this channel, we talk about homeschooling, we do reviews, we do vlogs, basically anything that pertains to life and that is placed on my heart. So if you like sporadicness and randomness, then stick around. This is the channel for you. Hit the subscribe button. To the rest of my non-traditional family, to my MVPs, my hanging there with me through thick and thin, I love you guys and thank you for hanging in there with me. All right, let's jump in and talk about Writeshop. Y'all, it's been so long since I've done this. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Anyway, so I used the digital version of this curriculum. I did not purchase any of the hard physical books for this particular curriculum, so I'm not going to have anything tangible to show you guys, but I will put on the screen things as I talk about them and discuss them, things that I feel like would be better if you're seeing it, reading it as I'm going over it and talking about it with you guys. So I'll be sure to throw any of that on the screen. This curriculum, she pretty much did on her own. She self-paced, asked me for help when she needed it, but for the most part, she walked through this curriculum on her own, which says so much about how well laid out this curriculum is and how simple and easy it is to follow, by saying that she was able to pretty much do this curriculum on her own. Writeshop prides itself on being easy for kids, to foster a love for writing in kids, and I think that is exactly what this high school curriculum did. One of their mottos is to inspire confident writers. I truly believe that after this year, that is something that has happened and that I've witnessed in my daughter, who was a more reluctant writer before starting this particular curriculum. So with Writeshop 1, again, it's geared for grades 6 through 10. Of course, you can use it for an older child if your child needs to start at a different level, and they do have placement tests on their website. Writeshop 2 is geared for, I think they say 8 through 12, because a more advanced middle schooler can do Writeshop 2. If your child is younger and more advanced, you can start them there. That's part of homeschooling. You meet your child where they are. So please do not get boxed in by these numbers or these grades or these ages. But this is what they say on their website: 6th through 10th, 8th through 12th. Some of the skills that your child is going to be learning, just to name a few, in Writeshop 1 is brainstorming, editing, writing, and revising. Then some of the styles of writing that they are going to be learning is creative, expository, narrative, and persuasive. So those are the types of styles of writing that they are going to be learning throughout this curriculum. We purchased the digital form of this particular curriculum, which was very inexpensive. I'll pop it on the screen what it is currently selling for on the website. You can also order the physical copies of the book, which of course is going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to save you the time on printing everything out, putting it into a binder, that kind of thing. So definitely keep that in mind. There's always pros and cons to doing digital versus physical with every single curriculum. This particular curriculum does not require a lot of supplies. Some of the recommended is a thesaurus, a dictionary, a 3-ring binder, of course paper, notebook paper, that kind of thing. But you don't have to have a whole lot of supplies, which for this mother is always a plus. When I don't have to go out and buy like all of these extra things in order for the curriculum to work, it is such a huge plus to me. And that is one of the things that I am going to have to give this particular curriculum a thumbs up and A+ for. So much like the primary Writeshop, which if you have not seen that review, I'll leave it linked for you. You can choose your particular schedule as well. So they do have a 2-week lesson plan and then a 1-week lesson plan. We did the 2-week lesson plan. This helps the book last for an entire year. The 1-week lesson plan, you will be able to do Writeshop 1 and 2 in an entire year. So if your child needs to get 2 English credits knocked out, that is a way to do it on a fast track. The way the 2-week is set up, it's on day 1, the child is going to do their pre-writing activities and their day 1 skill builder. You are introducing the new concepts and the terms. They can do some copying work as well. On day 2, with your teacher, the child is going to brainstorm, do a writing practice paragraph, work on day 2 skill builder, which we'll talk about here in a minute. You as the parent are going to guide the practice paragraph section. And so they have like a practice paragraph section, which I'll show you here in just a second in the student's workbook, where they do a practice paragraph. And you just basically guide them through that particular paragraph. And then on day 3, the child is going to brainstorm for their sloppy copy. Then they're going to do their day 3 skill builder. Then on day 4, they're going to write the sloppy copy, and day 5 they have off. So Friday, Monday, Wednesday, however your school schedule rolls, on day 5 is off. So you as the parent are doing the first 2 days, and then the child is doing the next 2 days on their own, and then on day 5 it's off. That's the first week. On the day 6 of the second week, the child is going to edit their sloppy copy. So they're doing this by themselves. They're going to edit it by themselves, and then they're going to write the first revision. You're not doing anything on that day as the parent. On day 7, you're going to edit the student's first revision. So remember, they've already edited their sloppy copy. Now they've written a revision. They've given that to you, and then you are going to edit that revision. And then on day 8, they're going to polish and get it the final draft and turn it in for evaluation. And then on day 9, you grade that student's final draft. Now, one of the things that I love about Writeshop is that it does not have to be grade based, which I personally feel takes so much pressure off of your student. If you have a child that is afraid to write because they don't want to be judged on their writing, graded on their writing, and they're afraid of making mistakes, they spend so much of their time, focused on making mistakes that they don't want to write. This is a great way to let them know, hey, you're not being graded, you're not being judged, just write. Just write, and write until you get it to par. You know what I mean? And so one of the things that Writeshop talks about is the grading process. You don't necessarily have to grade. The first way is if it's a 70 or below, they would rewrite it. So if they get anything under a 70, and Writeshop gives you the points and the grading system and how to grade and how to assign points and all of that. So you take all the guesswork out for you. So if they get a 70 or below, you can have them rewrite it. The other option is that they can continue to rewrite over and over and over again until they get a 90 or above. So you can just have them continue to revise and rewrite until they get all the skills that you feel they need to get before they move on to the next writing assignment. The other way is that you just assign points only. They just collect points for what they've done. So it's not about a 70 or 90 or 85 or whatever. It's just, okay, you got 60 points for this particular assignment, or you got, 100 points for this particular assignment, and that's it. So you have these options on how you want to grade your child's writing assignment for that final draft. Now, my daughter was more of a reluctant writer, and so she kind of worried about that whole judgment thing. And so I opted not to do the whole grading thing in the beginning. And I feel like as her confidence grew, she was able to go in and be like, okay, that needs to be rewritten. Okay, I need to do a little bit more on that. And I think because she genuinely enjoyed the writing assignments, that she wanted to make them better and get better and better at it, because she was enjoying the process and enjoying the writing, which leads me into a segue of what Writeshop is not. It is not a grammar program. So if you are looking for a grammar program, this is not going to be it. You're going to want to incorporate some other kind of grammar program along with it. It is also not a spelling program. So if you need spelling or something like that, you're going to want to incorporate that into this. However, I truly feel, and I said this in my last review, that you learn the grammar and the spelling through the doing, through the revising, through the revision, through the writing, and writing it over and over and over and over again, and through the discussions and the copy work and the dictation. You naturally just learn this stuff because you're seeing it, you're doing it, you're correcting your writing, and through that you're learning. So in a way, it can be all of those things, but it is not that. It does not try to portray itself as that type of curriculum. It is strictly a writing curriculum. So there's that. So as I stated, they do have the two types of structures that you can set it up, 2 week versus 1 week. With the 1 week, you're basically going to accelerate that process. You're going to do it a lot faster. The parents are introducing the new concepts on day 1. They're doing the brainstorming. They're doing the writing practice paragraph. And then on day 2, they're doing the brainstorm and the sloppy copy. Day 3, they're editing the sloppy copy, writing the first revision. Day 4, you're editing the first revision. Day 5, they're polishing it and turning it in. So essentially just speeding everything up for the second option, which is the 1 week option. One of the things that I love about Writeshop is that it doesn't require a whole lot of time out of you. It doesn't require a lot of lesson prep, a lot of lesson planning, or just a lot of time in the day. Some of these curriculums take so much time for the parents to sit down, lesson plan, figure out what they need, figure out what supplies, figure out what we're doing. You can't just jump into it. You got to do all this preparation. Then it takes 45 minutes to teach the lessons. That's a lot, especially for somebody like myself who's homeschooling a lot of kids. Sometimes we just don't have time for all of that. So what I love about this is that these particular lessons are very short, very concise, and does not take a lot of time from the parents. The skill builders that you're introducing takes 10 to 20 minutes in the day, and you're doing those for the first 3 days. And again, it depends on your child and how quickly they know. They may already know some of these skills. It may not take them a very long time to grasp the skill. But again, 10 to 20 minutes to introduce the skill builder. And then there's pre-writing activities that the child does. There's a warm-up exercise, and then there's teaching time. Some of these you may feel like you don't need to do with your child, whereas some of you might feel like my child needs all of the writing practice that they can get, and so I'm going to do this. I do feel like all of these steps are important in increasing their confidence, gearing them up for their writing for their writing project, it kind of builds up that muscle and gets them ready for their essay that they're going to be writing and turning in. So while it seems redundant and you may feel like your child doesn't need to do it, I do feel like it could be good practice for them and get them ready for the actual writing essay. And then there is the practice paragraph that I talked about earlier, which again, you're not doing, the child is doing. That could take the child up to 30 minutes to do the practice paragraph. Basically, the practice paragraph is introducing what they should be doing for the essay. So it's a way for them to practice the skills before actually doing the skill. So you've introduced the skills, you've talked about it, they've done a few of the pre-writing activities, and now the practice paragraph is just a fun way for you guys to brainstorm some ideas, do some writing together, and all of that good stuff. Now again, the practice paragraph is something that you can strike from your day-to-day if you feel like your child doesn't need that. If your child gets the concepts very quickly and they're just ready to dive into the essay writing, then you don't have to do the practice paragraph. But if it's a skill that you feel like they're struggling with, they need more time with, you need to be more involved with, this is a time for you to sit down and do the practice paragraph with them. Again, this is more of a coaching, teamwork kind of session of you guys building this practice paragraph together, throwing out ideas, some ways to write, different ways to structure the paragraph, that kind of thing. With the practice paragraph, you're going over brainstorming, you're going over mind mapping, you're going over all of these things on how you want to structure the paragraph. So that's kind of what the practice paragraph is. The other things that you're involved in is copy work and dictation. Now copy work, not so much, because you can just give them the passage that you want them to copy. A lot of ways that I like to use copy work for my kids is incorporate whatever we're reading. So it could be history that we're working on, and I'll have them copy something from their history book that we may have talked about. If we're reading a certain book in reading, I may have them copy something from that reading passage. And if you follow me along the way last year, you saw us do that when we were reading Charlotte's Web. And also when we used Goose Goose Duck, a lot of times my kids would do copy work from those particular things. So I like to kind of coincide it all and make the copy work fit into something else that we are doing. And the thing about copy work is, again, you're copying, so you are seeing, the grammar, you're seeing the writing process, you're seeing the spelling, you're seeing the words. And so copy work is just a great way to incorporate grammar and spelling and things like that without getting a whole separate curriculum to do that thing. So you're not really involved with the copy work. Dictation, you can be. Dictation, of course, is when you are reading the passage and the child is writing down what you're reading. Now, if you don't want to be a part of that, you can throw on an audible book or an audible passage or some kind of passage and just have them listen to it and copy from that. That's another way you can do dictation without you having to be there and doing it. They do recommend that you do copy work and dictation. And I think that the reason that they want you to do that is because, again, they're not a grammar curriculum, but the child is seeing writing. They're hearing writing. Again, one of the best ways to learn to write is to read, is to see other great writers, is to read other great written work, right? That's one way you become a great writer. And so I really feel like that's why they have this in there. Some high school students may find this to be trivial. They may not like it. My daughter in particular was not a big fan of the copy work or the dictation. So you can scratch it out if your student just doesn't like it. Again, we want this to be something that they love to do. So definitely tweak it how you need to tweak it for your student to love it. And I think Writeshop would agree with that because, again, one of their biggest things is to inspire students to love writing. That's pretty much what your day-to-day is going to look like as a parent. Now, for the child, they, of course, are doing all of this alongside with you, and then the copying and dictating. And then on their own, they're going to create their first essay. It's going to give them the topic, which I'm going to show you guys here in just a second. I mean, it makes it so simple for the student, y'all. I cannot say how simple it makes it for the student. So essentially it's going to give them something to write about. They're going to brainstorm, create their sloppy copy, and then they're going to go back and revise that sloppy copy and make it into something a little more presentable. And then from there, they're going to give it to you to edit it even further. Then you give it back to them, and this is when they are going to turn it into a labor of love and really, really pour their heart out into editing and turning it into something really beautiful and that they are proud of to present. And so that's what the student is doing. And every single lesson looks like this. Every lesson, there's no surprises. Let's just talk about some of the lessons and how they work. Okay, so each lesson pretty much gives you what you're describing or what you're talking about, what your essay is going to be about. Then it's going to tell you what the focus is of that lesson. So what the child is focusing on, what are they going to be learning, what type of skill are they going to be learning. It's going to tell you what materials you need, and then you're going to get your pre-writing activities, your practice paragraph, and all of that. And the cool thing about Writeshop is that it gives you little check boxes. So if you are a tasker, a lister that likes to check off boxes, you're gonna love this because it gives you little boxes for you to tick off as you do each one or as your student does each one, which is amazing because I am a lister. I like to tick off the boxes. So this is very nice. So looking at lesson 4, you're describing a circus performer. So this particular lesson is focusing on continued practices with concrete writing and writing topic sentences. So it tells you if your student is a visual learner, maybe have a picture of a clown or something like that. But again, you don't have to. And if you want a picture of a clown, Google it. Easy, done. No harm, no foul. And then it gives you your pre-writing activities. The students get 1 minute and they're going to write as many words as they can that comes to mind about Circus. And this is what I mean by the pre-writing activities. For my 14, 15-year-old daughter who's a little bit more mature, you know, she didn't take this quite as seriously, especially with it coming from me. You know, maybe if she was in a classroom doing it, it may have been a little more appealing for her and a little more thrilling. So again, meet your students where they are. I think this type of game is geared more towards that 7th, 8th grader. But when you're dealing with a high schooler, they may not want to do this kind of thing. But you know, you could always play like categories, which is similar to this, right? So family fun game and you're incorporating schoolwork. See how that all works together, y'all? And the purpose is to stimulate ideas. While this is actually a form of brainstorming, students think it's just an entertainment game to play. Again, I feel like with a younger person, perfect. High schooler, especially a homeschooled high schooler, maybe not. Just depends on your child. But again, you can figure out ways to do this, and it's a family activity where they don't even realize they're brainstorming, that they're playing, that they're doing writing and a writing activity. So think outside the box, y'all. Jump out the box with this kind of stuff. And then the other thing is going to be the practice paragraph. They're going to brainstorm, describe the importance of describing the person, not the activity. And so it's giving you bullet points of what you should be focusing on. And then they have a brainstorming worksheet in the student's workbook, which we'll show you in just a second. So you're going to use that worksheet to do brainstorming. And then the student is going to write their sloppy copy. And the student has a checklist that they follow to make sure that they are getting everything into their sloppy copy that they're supposed to be getting into their sloppy copy. So if your student likes lists and tasks and likes to know that they're doing everything, they can just check the box off. Okay, yes, I talked about that, I talked about that, I talked about that. Check, 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 check. Again, so freaking simple, y'all. Then they're gonna do their first revision, and it has in their book a way for them to edit their revision as well. So they're not trying to figure out, how do I edit this thing? It has it for them on what they should be looking for and how to revise and edit their own papers. And then you edit their first revision. So as you look over the paragraph, list everything you learn about the circus performer. Your list could look something like this, and it gives you an example. Because again, they're describing the performer. So you want to write down what you learned about the performer. basically. So can you think of other aspects to describe? What else can you say about the clown's clothing? Could you add sequence or texture? With the revision, you're saying, well, could you have went into more detail about this? How big was their nose? Or how long was their hair? How tall was the clown? What did their shirt look like? What kind of texture was their shirt? So this is how you are revising the first copy. You're not going in with a red pen, okay? Us millennials always want to pull out our red pens. You're not going in with your red pen just yet. You are just giving your student more ideas on how they can go into more details about this particular subject. I want to know a little bit more about that. Well, I would love to learn a little bit more about this. Well, I would love to know, what the clown's cheeks look like. And they're like, oh, okay, I can write about that. So you're just really trying to get them to go into as much detail as possible as they can. That is what your first revision is going to look like. And then they're going to write a final draft, and then you're going to grade it using the evaluation form with the particular lesson. And I will show you the evaluation form for that. And y'all, every single lesson is broke down like that. Towards the very end of your teacher's manual, it's going to go into the revising. And the thing that I love about this is that it really, really breaks it down for you. It reminds you to add positive comments to your grading and your revision of their things. It gives you a section to take notes. It tells you some positive and encouraging words that you can say to your child if you struggle with that area. It's going to tell you some things that you could say about their writing. It tells you some ways that you can transition to critique and to help them get better. It's giving you ways to say that. Some neutral comments. So if you are a parent that is struggling in this area on how to praise your child while still getting them to improve, or you struggle with telling your child that they need to improve, or you don't know how to give your kid a compliment, because those parents exist. This is going to tell you, and I love that they thought about that. I love that they thought about the fact that there are some parents who struggle in this area genuinely, whether it's, intentional or unintentional, or maybe some parents don't even realize that they struggle with this until they have this curriculum in front of them and they're like, oh, wait, I didn't say anything positive. I just went through with my red pen and marked everything that was wrong versus giving encouraging words. Y'all know we all have that one teacher, right? We all have that one teacher that never had nothing nice to say. They just went through with their little red pens. Yeah, I remember you. But they make you better, right? Those teachers made me better. And so anyway, then it tells you common errors that you might see lesson to lesson, and it breaks it down for each particular lesson. I'm thinking this is probably common problems that over the course of time they've seen, and they've put it in here that this is something you might see, and this is how you address it, and this is how you work through it. Which again, you got to give them an A+ for doing that legwork for you and taking the guesswork out of it for you. And they do that for every single lesson in the book. There's a total of 30 lessons in Writeshop 1. It gives you the common proofreading terms and symbols. So again, if you are a parent that has no idea how to proofread, no idea how to edit it, no idea what you should be doing, it has it right here for you, all laid out. You just pull this out. This is the time where you would take out your red pen and you mark with the symbols that, as a kid, I always did with my baby dolls. When I was playing school, y'all, it was like my favorite part was to edit their schoolwork and go through and put these symbols in. I loved it. I loved that part. Then it gives you your writing skill checklist. So in this writing skill checklist, this is where I feel like when you're not doing grading, where you really just want your child to improve their skills, I feel like this is where this curriculum shines, because what it does is it breaks down the skills. And as you can see here, it says okay, meaning they're good at it, or needs improvement. and it goes through each one of the skills for this. So for me, I feel like it's way more beneficial to take this skill checklist and see where your child is. If you notice that your child still needs several improvements on some of these skills, this is when you would stick there. This is when you would have them rewrite it, revise it. Let's keep doing it because the skills aren't there yet. So why are we moving on when we still need to work on these particular skills? So I love that it has this skill checklist where you can go through with each lesson and see, okay, did they master this skill? And if not, then let's not move on yet. Let's focus in on this particular skill. And as a teacher and a parent, it helps you to see where you need to be focusing on when you're sitting down and doing your teaching on your days 1 and 2 with them. What skill do I need to spend a little bit more time on or go into more details about? And so again, it does that with each lesson. And then it shows you what the proofreading would look like, the editing, and how you would hand that back to them. Some notes that you can write on your skills, so forth and so on. And it literally does this with each lesson. I mean, I don't know how more simple it can get than this. That pretty much is how the teacher's manual work, the teacher's workbook, literally breaks everything down for you step by step, piece by piece, little by little, tiny size bites, even all the way to tell you some positive words to write on your child's paper. So literally every single piece of guesswork has been taken out of it for the parent. Now I want to hop over to the student's workbook so you guys can kind of get an idea of what it looks like for the student. And so they basically break it down into 5 steps for the student. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, brainstorming, writing a sloppy copy, writing their first revision, giving that to their teacher, and then writing their final draft. So literally 5 steps. Breaks it down nice and simple, keeps it easy for the kids to think about. And remember, I talked about checklists, so it's telling them never skip this important step. Check mark, check mark, check mark, so they can check off as they go through these particular things. One of the things that I like about Writeshop is it talks about ingredients for a tasty paragraph. And when I think about this, I'm thinking like something tastes good. And when something tastes good, it has tons and tons of different seasonings and ingredients and all these things that go into it that makes it taste good. And for those of you who love reading, like myself, you know when you read a good book, it has all of this mouth-watering stuff. You can visually like see the character. You can hear the character. You've given this character a voice. You know, this is why I personally don't really like when they turn books into movies, because I've already gave this character a voice. I've gave this character a look. Like I've engrossed myself into this character, and then I see them on screen and I'm like, that is not Bobby. Now, they ain't wrong for that. Bobby don't look nothing like that. You know, that kind of thing. So I love that they call it ingredients for a tasty paragraph, because as a reader, sometimes you can literally like taste the book that you are reading. And so it talks about all of the ingredients to create this tasty paragraph. It breaks it down into, you know, your topic sentence, your closing sentence, all of that stuff. It gives them a glossary of writing terms, sentence variations, so forth and so on. The student also gets a copy of the proofreading page so that they can also use those symbols and learn those symbols and learn what they mean. They're editing their sloppy copy. So they're writing their sloppy copy, then they're revising it. It's giving them all of those things as well. The first unit is descriptive writing. Remember, we talked about those: descriptive, expository, creative, and persuasive. And so unit 1 is going to be focusing on descriptive. And so they are describing all kind of things in unit 1. And so they have their skill builder, the worksheet, remember we talked about, where you talk about the skills. And so just showing you right here. So the worksheet consists of name an animal, tell how it moves, another word for ground. Example, the snake slithered across the grass. the snake, blah, blah, blah. Now choose one of your words from each category above and write 4 different sentences. The bear crawled across the woods or whatever. And then day 3 is when you're working on that paragraph. This particular page is focusing on the student and what they need to be looking for after they've done their sloppy copy. Remember I talked about checking boxes, is checking off boxes. So are my topic and choice of words appropriate for my audience? Check. Did I avoid writing in second person? Check. So forth and so on. Giving them all of these checklists that they need to do as they are writing their revision copy, and it tells them how they do it. And then it gives them the teacher writing skill checklist. This is what you're using when you're editing their first revision of their paper. You're using this teacher's writing skill checklist. So your student knows what you're looking for, as well as you know what you're looking for. There's no surprises on either part. Your student isn't like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to be graded on. They know what they're going to be graded on. The grading paper is in the student's workbook. This is not in the teacher copy, which I thought was odd that they would include this in the student's workbook and not the teacher's manual. But anyway, this is what you're looking at when we talked about grading and points. You're using this evaluation. So it tells you how many points that they're going to give for each thing and then how many points they earned. So follow directions for the assignment, communicate it clearly, sentence variation, their mechanics, general, such and such, for so forth and so on. You could do the point system where you just add up their points and that's it. This is how many points they got for this assignment. Or you could do the percentage, which they break it down at the bottom here for you. And you can say, okay, if they get anything under a 70, they need to rewrite it, which Writeshop does recommend if they get anything under a 70 that they rewrite it. Or you can say, okay, I'm going to keep making them rewrite it until they get a 90 or above. However you want to do it, whatever you think is going to be more conducive for your child getting better at writing, because that is the ultimate goal, not the grade. Let me say that again. Your student getting better at writing is the ultimate goal, not the grade. Okay, so you have this here for your guide, and that is going to be at the end of every single one of their lessons for your particular student. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this curriculum. Let's start with the cons. It's not a grammar curriculum. If you're a parent that wants an all-in-one, you don't want to have to supplement. You just want something that does it all. This is not going to be that curriculum for you. So it is not a grammar, it's not a spelling, it's not a reading, it is a writing curriculum. Writeshop. That's what it is. So that could be a con for some people. It is very, very bare bones. That could totally be a con for some people. You know, some people want to feel like they're doing something. Some people want to have these big, hefty curriculums. Something this stripped down and just bare and simple may feel not as beefy for some people. So for some of you, that may be a con, that this is a bare bones kind of curriculum. It's not a lot of bells and whistles, people. It's not. Let me think. The other con is that if you are a parent that really, really likes to be heavily, heavily involved in your children's learning process, this curriculum, it's so simple for your student to just do it, and it doesn't require so much from us, that it's very easy for your student to just do it. If you have a student that is very independent and just will go through it, they may just go through it and just do it. So that could be a con for some people that have more of a control kind of thing going on. What else would be a con with this curriculum? That's it. That's all I got for you. The pros. The pros is that it is a bare minimum, bare bones curriculum. It is not beefy. I love that. That is like something I love. And I think one of the reasons my daughter loved it. So one of the pros is that it is just so simple. It's just so bare bones. It's so easy to get through. It's so enjoyable. Y'all, I loved reading her work. And I could tell that she liked writing. Like in her work, I could see that she enjoyed what she was doing. So that was a pro for me. The other pro is that it's so laid out so well. This curriculum reminds me a lot of Abeka, and one of the reasons that I got swooped into the whole thing of Abeka, because it was all like, do this, take out your pen, write this, write that. And I realized that I really do like lists. I really do like bullet points. I really do like tasks. Like, tell me the task, tell me the steps, and then if I want to mix them up, I can, but tell me how to get there. You know what I mean? So I love that this curriculum is like that, that is very like bullet pointed and laid out, and it does not require me to lesson plan. Like, I'm not a teacher. I don't want a lesson plan. I don't want to do that. That's my truth. I don't want to lesson plan. I am really finding that I am loving more and more curriculums that don't require that I can pick up on Tuesday and be like, okay, what are we doing today? Okay, that's what we're doing today. Everybody sit down. This is what we're doing. And it's not like I have to plan a whole week in advance what I'm doing for next week. So I personally think that that is a pro. What are some other pros about this curriculum? It's inexpensive. If you're on a budget, it is not going to break the bank. I also love that it was digital. So, buy it one time, can use it with all my kids. Talk about the cost per child when you start doing that, like forever and ever and ever and ever. So if you have multiple kids and you love this curriculum, you've only bought it once, it's digital, you just print it out for the next child. So I do love that about it as well. That is another pro for me. So options, you can get the physical or you can do the digital. What else do I love about this curriculum? I love the fact that you can choose if you want to go fast paced. So if you have a student that is accelerating, they can get through it, or you can go a little bit slower and take the whole year, or you can even break it down and go slower because of the skill checklist. If your child's not getting it, just stay there. Just have them keep rewriting the same thing over and over and over and getting deeper and deeper, more detail, more grammar until they get it. So I love that. I love that you can go as fast or as slow as you want to go with your writing curriculum. I also love that they break down the 4 different writing groups into units. You're doing descriptive writing, you're doing narrative, you're doing persuasive. Your child is learning these different types of writing styles and even can find which writing style that they love the most. Understanding these different writing styles, I think, really helps with the writing and encouraging the writing and encouraging the reading. And again, it just all kind of goes hand in hand. So I think that's a pro, the way that they do the units and break it down. The other pro is that if you have an independent student, an independent learner, a student that enjoys working on their own, that enjoys working at their own pace, that can figure it out, that is a go-getter, a self-starter, they can do it with this curriculum. They honestly do not need a teacher to do this curriculum, except for the grade, the final paper, which is ultimately what I did. They can literally get through this thing on their own. So if you are a working parent that is homeschooling, a lot of people try to figure that out. Well, how do you work in homeschool? Or how do you do this in homeschool? And how, people have this idea in their mind that they just can't seem to get out of, I was one of those people, so I get it. But if you are a working mom, and you are worried and you're like, how am I going to do this? This curriculum really can be that for you, because again, your child can walk through it on their own. They really can. And I think the beauty of Writeshop is that while they're walking through it on their own, they don't feel like they're not learning. They don't feel like they're missing something. They don't feel like they're not getting something. Like, it's just all there, step by step, that the child feels empowered to do it on their own. They don't feel like, well, I guess I'll just have to wait till, my mom gets home from work, or I can't learn this until my mom can do it, or my dad can do it, or my teacher can do it. They have the power. They have the power. If they want to do it, they can do it, you know? So to me, that is such a pro. To me, it is a pro when a child is empowered and they realize that, oh my God, I can learn what I want to learn. Like, give me the resources and I can do it. Writing and reading and basic math to me are still and forever will be the most essential skills when it comes to life. So yeah, that is my thoughts and review over Writeshop 1. I hope that this was helpful for somebody out there. If you guys have more questions, or if I did not explain something in detail enough, or I missed something, please feel free to ask in the comments below. If you are a user of Writeshop 1 and I missed something, leave it in the comments below for those who are here trying to get more information and details on this curriculum, because I don't think that there is enough information and praise for this curriculum out there on the internet. Like, seriously, right now I love it. So yeah. And y'all know that could change. But right now, where I am a firm committer to this Writeshop world right now. If you are still here and you found this beneficial, please give me a thumbs up, y'all. And consider joining the family by hitting the subscribe button. To the rest of my family, I love you guys and welcome back. Welcome back, y'all. Love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.